Hi, and welcome to your tour of the Teaching Assistant Toolkit. My name is Carolyn McCrae, and I work as an Educational Development Fellow at the Center for Teaching and Learning. This toolkit is great if you're a new graduate student, a first-time TA, or an experienced TA looking for some new ideas and ways that you can rejuvenate your teaching practice. What will you find in the Teaching Assistant Toolkit? So this toolkit is an online website that has a series of ideas, tips, and tricks on what you might bring to your teaching practice. It has some best practices for teaching in any context, whether you're a TA for an online, face-to-face, or remote course. It will also include some ideas about creating community in your class, bringing active learning activities into the classroom, educational technology tools that you might select, and some campus resources that you can turn to for additional support. In this toolkit, you will also find some questions that you can ask the course instructor, both before, during, and after your TA-ship. These questions might also be great for you to reflect on your TA-ship and to help you improve in the future. When we think about what the toolkit is, it also seems prudent to talk about what the TA toolkit isn't. This isn't a step-by-step guide on being a TA in a specific environment. Although this toolkit was created in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, this toolkit is a lasting resource with ideas that you can adapt to any context as well as make specific to your own discipline. So you won't find specific instructions on how each course will run this fall or this winter, but what you might find is ideas that you can bring to the course that are a bit different than what you might have normally done. Let's take a look at where you can find the toolkit on the CTL's website. You will find the Teaching Assistant Toolkit by first accessing the CTL's main website. This can be found at www.queensu.ca/CTL. This is the CTL's main homepage. On our main homepage, you might find a direct link for the Teaching Assistant Toolkit in this photo banner. Here we can see the Teaching Assistant Toolkit is included in the banner currently, so there's a direct link to the Teaching Assistant Toolkit immediately below the banner image. If this is not included in our banner, navigate up to the top of our website and find the Teaching Support tab in the menu. In this Teaching Support tab, one of the options is Graduate Student and TA Resources. Click on this subtitle in the menu to open up the page for Graduate Student, TA, and Postdoctoral Fellow Resources for Teaching Development. This page provides an overview of all of the resources, supports, and services that we offer for graduate students. As you'll see here, the Teaching Assistant Toolkit is one of the first resources highlighted on this page. You can open up the TA Toolkit by either clicking on the TA Toolkit icon or by clicking on the link to open up the full Teaching Assistant Toolkit. Now you've launched the TA Toolkit and are on the main TA Toolkit homepage. You'll first see an introduction on this page. This includes an overview of what is included in the toolkit, some definitions of terminology that will be used throughout this website, as well as a few drop-down menus about types of TA-ships, first steps to being a TA, and knowing your rights and responsibilities as a TA. This particular drop-down menu, called First Steps to Being a TA, Questions for Your Course Instructor, might be very helpful if it's your first time as a TA. This includes a link that has a number of questions that you might want to ask the course instructor, or questions just to reflect and think upon before or when you first start a TA-ship. As you continue to scroll down the main TA Toolkit homepage, you will find 8 icons. These represent the different sections and topics covered in this toolkit. You can open each of the individual sections by clicking on the title of that section. So I'll go ahead and start by opening up the Creating Inclusive Classrooms section. You will notice that you can navigate through the different sections of the toolkit by also using the menu on the left-hand side of the page. Once you open a section of the toolkit, they will typically start with an introduction at the top of the section. This section of the toolkit focuses on community and creating an inclusive classroom space through decolonization, anti-racism, and what you can do as a TA, regardless of the context or type of course that you're TAing. As you scroll through the section, you'll find lots of information and resources, as well as specific tips and tricks on how your role as a TA might help contribute to creating that inclusive classroom. At the bottom of each section, you will find resources on where to find more information, and if you would like to dive deeper into this topic. Throughout the TA Toolkit, you'll notice a series of different icons. Some of these icons point you in the direction of where you can learn more and access more resources. Some help you with technology tools, while others help with best practices and TA tips that you might use in the classroom. Each section looks a little different. If we are to look at the tutorials, seminars, and guest lectures section, you will notice that since this section is a little larger in size, that we've included a list of the subsections that are included. These links will actually guide you to that section on the page. So for example, if I was most interested in facilitating online discussions or participation, I could click on this subsection that's listed here, and it will take me directly to that portion of this part of the toolkit. Here again, you'll find some tips and tricks that you might try in your course this year, as well as resources if you would like to learn more. Each section of the toolkit follows a similar layout. It'll introduce some strategies that you can use in the classroom, as well as present some resources and sample documents that you might use to build from or to start when you're thinking about this element of your teaching. One section of the toolkit that you might find particularly useful is that called Campus Resources and Supports. In this section, we've linked a PDF called Campus Supports for Students that outlines what other central units on campus can help students with teaching and learning support. This includes the library, campus wellness, the QUIC, or the Queen's University International Center, Four Directions Indigenous Student Center, among many others. In this section, you'll also find some resources for mental health and wellness for both yourself and students, writing support and services that you can find at Student Academic Success Services, or SAS, located within Stauffer Library, resources for time management in your role as a TA, as well as some other resources that might be helpful. Lastly, something to remember for the Teaching Assistant Toolkit is this is a dynamic and living document. This is changing as we hear more about the needs of TAs on campus and as we can develop more resources to add into this toolkit. So make sure to check back frequently to see what new additions have been made. If you have additional questions about the toolkit, would like to suggest some new content, or would like to sit down and chat with someone about your TA-ship or about some challenges that you're facing during your TA-ship, we have some people at the Center for Teaching and Learning who can help. Please feel free to reach out to us by email at ctl@queensu.ca or to reach out to one of our Educational Development Associates. EDAs are graduate students who work in the center specifically on helping graduate students, TAs, and postdocs with their teaching practice. Please feel free to email our EDAs if you would like to have a consultation or if you would like to ask one of them to come into your classroom and do a classroom observation. With that, I invite you to dig into the toolkit and explore each section on your own time. We hope that you find the ideas, suggestions, and resources that are outlined in the toolkit to be helpful in your new role as a TA.